Well, hello YouTube, it's me Fortmaster, and welcome back to the Game Theory Reaction. And today's video is the Giggleland ARG got even darker. So, obviously this is a continuation of the last week's theory, which was, oh god, there was a lot of stuff in that one, but it was like, there was a lot of stuff involving like Aztec sacrificing, or was it Mayans? It was either Aztecs or Mayans, because it was one of their gods that appeared in fire serpent. I'm forgetting at the moment. Sorry, forgive me. But yeah, there was also the possibility that they theorized that one of the kids that was making the cartoons was possessed by like a demon, and that they found this this flash game, well, flash quote unquote flash game that was like involved, and if you got one ending, it told you to try again in like the dev build. It's really confusing, and honestly, it's one of those things where I'm actually liking the depth that this ARG is actually starting to get, and yet the game itself isn't even out yet, so they're building up hype for a reason. Hopefully when the game actually does come out, it's actually good and not just a one-hit wonder that's spikes for a week on YouTube and then it's never heard from again. But yeah, anyway, we should probably get this thing started. So yeah, of course, as always, original videos linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video link to my film theory reaction. And if you like this video or any other video that I make, I'd very much appreciate it if you gave the video a like and subscribe if you have not. Because my main goal for this year is to hopefully hit 5,000 subscribers, and at the current rate I'm going, that is totally doable thanks to every single one of you that thinks my channel is worth subscribing to. With all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
Last time on Game Theory.
Please investigate using the dev build. This is our next step to solving the puzzle, friends. There is even more to this game than we have already played. And this is where the questions we've been asking can be answered. What are they doing the sacrifices for? Where does Sarah fit into all this? And who is Elliot?
Yeah,
Hello,
I'm guessing that's what today's episode is going to be about.
Theory, the show that wants to walk a mile in your
Oh god, I forgot about the whole it's wearing my skin thing from the last one. Oh god. God, this is gonna be freaky, isn't it?
That's weird. Maybe I just need to sacrifice you. Whoa, what is happening with all these glitches? Quickly, if you hit that subscribe button, it should stop them. Did it work? Phew, thanks for your help. Clearly, the glitches from the new Giggleland ARG have been leaking into the videos of anyone who dares to uncover the truth. Last time, we began exploring what was happening in Act 2 of this mystery. We were getting updates from a girl named Sarah about a mysterious commune/cult called the KMW, run by a man named Terry. Sarah's mother, Debbie, used to be part of this commune, and after snooping around through her things, Sarah was caught, leaving us with no leads or information to work with. The website had also been updated, now containing new clues that sadly didn't really seem to lead us anywhere. We've got phrases like fun brew and lifeless, but no cipher or key to put them in. The main thing we got was a quote saying, "It wears my skin," which we suspected may have something to do with the evil mascots that have been hinted at. But there was one more avenue for us to check.
Okay, can you imagine, in this case, instead of creepy things wearing the suits and the costumes of a mascot. Imagine if it was the other way around, like a mascot wearing the skin of a human being. Like the mascot itself was like a demon or something like that. Oh god, that'd be kind of creepy.
A YouTube ad about a new gaming website featuring the orange cat Elliot from Elliot and Ella, the TV show made by the KMW. Sure, it wasn't the Giggleland game that we were hoping for, but it was still a game we could play. And the multiple endings of Elliot's adventure revealed to us the KMW's real intention with the children they took care of in the commune. We met Mr. T, the in-game counterpart of the cult leader Terry, who asked Elliot to help him gather seeds so that he can purify them from the evil sorcerer. The sorcerer is the big bad of this video game, though we've never actually met them, and the more endings we discovered, the more we realized that purify meant sacrifice. Based on the collectibles, background art, and enemy types, it appeared the KMW were following the Aztec rituals of child sacrifice and wearing their skin to appease their gods.
Which, I mean, I really have to wonder, are they practicing if they actually are doing this and it's not theorists going in the wrong direction? if they are actually doing this, like, how did these beliefs continue on? Is it, like, actual original, like, people that survived, you know, the colonization with their beliefs intact and actually just hid? Or are these modern-day people who, like, heard of the beliefs and are just kind of doing them themselves? Because, honestly, I don't know which of the two would be worse.
So that's dead children ticked off our indie horror bingo card, and the game's not even out yet. Then there was a secret message hidden in the game for Debbie herself, written by her partner, the mysterious Simon. It warned her that if she didn't leave the commune, Terry would do something awful to Sarah, so neither of them would see her again. This is what led Debbie to run away from the cult all those years ago, and why she is now so protective of Sarah, not wanting her to go outside or learn more about the commune. Unfortunately, it was at this point that we hit a dead end. By completing the game and taking 0 damage, we discovered that there was a dev build of the game somewhere. It gave 0 hints to where it might be, but I knew it held the answers to the secrets that we were looking for. Why are they sacrificing kids? Why is Sarah so important? And who is Elliot really? So join me, friends, because I am determined to find this dev build and uncover the truth behind this creepy Aztec cult. So without further ado, let's solve the second act of Giggleland's ARG. Let's think about this logically. Elliot's adventure is on the Kids Gaming Zone website, so surely this mysterious dev build would be hidden around here. That means we gotta do the thing we theorists do best at a time like this. Click on every possible link and see if it takes us somewhere.
Wait, if there's a login, those 2 words that you got before, could they be login information, like a username and a password?
I'm actually going to fast forward this bit because there is a lot of clicking and a lot of pages that are just pretty normal. That is, until you get to the very bottom and click on the web host link. Unsurprisingly, this takes you to a website where you can buy website domains. But by scrolling down to the bottom, we can see a list of recently registered domains. And this is where things go from regular to irregular. Game Tips is a website that gives you tips and cheat codes for games, including Elliot's Adventure, mentioning a god mode in the dev build. Other websites had hidden URLs.
Actually, wait, I wonder, if you activate God mode, does that affect getting the true ending by taking no damage if you physically cannot take any damage?
Covered with text directly taken from Sarah's Tumblr posts. Oak Barrel Brew had a secret message when scrolling to the bottom of the page about how abandoned children's fingers would twitch as if they were trying to send a message. It's super weird stuff, but they are all things connecting to what we covered last time. Another one of the website's laughing little ones looks like a website about the biggest party ever, and so naturally, I'm gonna put in all my details because I want to be part of this super cool, totally real party.
Oh God, you know, it sounds like these again. Like I've said it before, and I'll say it again because I honestly do wonder, like, how many people come across these websites, like just like completely unrelated to people searching up the ARG. Like they just type something in and they just put in the perfect combination of words or search terms to find these websites. And then they go around on them just thinking they're real and interacting with them and looking around, and then eventually either finding out that like nothing here is really either like helpful or working at all, or 2, like they actually find some of the weird secrets and then have no idea what's actually going on with them.
Please? But after doing that, screen went black, a weird sound played, and the text appeared, Sarah location, as well as a bunch of random letters. Once again, we have ourselves a code. What type of code is it? I'm not sure. This isn't any cipher I've ever seen. But as I mentioned last time, thankfully, there is a dedicated team of theorists on the official Discord that were able to help us out. Links to their doc will be in the description. This time, Discord user Chap figured out that breaking the string of letters into 2 letters at a time are the first 2 letters of the website we have discovered on the domain page. GL is Global Street Foods, RE is Retro Bite Hub. It all matches up. But we still don't know exactly what any of this means. We do know that we're on the right track. It's just, where do we go from here?
Well, it did say, it gave you this jumble of letters when, like, it said, like, Sarah's location. So, could you possibly, like, go on each of these websites and find location, like, of where they're where these websites, are like supposedly based, or whatever, where the company that or where the companies that run them are supposedly based, because then maybe that might help.
Which seems to be a running theme in this ARG. But again, Chap came to my rescue. They'd found something new on the old missing persons report from Act 1. Seriously, Chap, you are crushing this. What they found was a new audio file named Conversation. But like always, it's password protected. Though I think we already have part of the answer for this one. I mentioned that in our part 1 video, we uncovered some secret words that meant nothing at the time. One of which was fun brew that we discovered thanks to a random string of letters on the KMW website and a note in the guest book that encouraged us to use Pastebin as a means of communication. Now, this is where things are going to get a little complicated, but bear with me. We have 2 words, fun and brew. We also have a bunch of websites now thanks to the Giggleland directory and the domain site. One of the websites we explored last time was called fun.html, and there we discovered another word that meant very little at the time, lifeless. Now, one of these new websites is called Oak Barrel Brew, implying that the second half of the code is hidden in this website. On that website, we saw a secret message about abandoned children and how their fingers were a message to something. We're trying to open up a conversation on a missing children's report. So, is that the secret word? Finger? The thing communicating? Fun brew equals lifeless finger. Yes! That unlocked the WAV file. Let's
God, you know, I have to, you know, I have to commend people who actually like work to figure out these ARGs, because honestly, I don't think I ever would have figured that out. Honestly, now, like, it makes me think, if I was ever in the position to actually make my own ARG, I'm now scared that I would not be anywhere near clever enough to make an ARG that's actually interesting to interact with and figure out.
have a listen, shall we? Ah, yes, the wonderfully nostalgic sound of a modem. I remember hearing that sound every time I tried to connect to the internet as a kid. Cue the Matt Damon gif. But this is an...
Was that? Okay, well, I almost would have thought that was, like, from a spectrogram or something. Though, I mean, again, like, we never had, like, dial-up internet. Like, we kind of skipped over that. I didn't have internet for my young childhood.
ARG. Obviously, those aren't just sounds. And if you use an FSK decoder like Mini Modem, you can actually mimic a modem receiver, which will translate these sounds into text. It ends up being a dialogue between two people talking about a strange program appearing on TV while their kids were watching. But when they looked at a TV guide, they weren't able to find it. Sounds to me like we've got another instance of Elliot and Ella on our hands. One of the parents says it reminds them of the Channel 10 hacking that was on the news a while ago, which is interesting. I did always wonder how this terrifying Elliot and Ella show would ever make its way onto the air. Trust me, I worked in kids TV. No network is greenlighting this. But now, the pieces are beginning to fall into place. No one needed to approve this show because the show was being hacked or forced onto the airwaves. In the first ARG, we found a video called The Second Hijack, where we heard in the background an episode of Elliot and Ella. I thought that this was in reference to the hijacking of a kid. As we'd already found a missing report of one kid, this would have just been the second. However, this now seems to suggest that it wasn't about the kids.
Okay, so, granted, I've never really thought of it. How would you hijack, a TV station? Because, like, the first two things that come to mind would be either to, somehow, like, depending on the time, either hack into, the actual broadcast itself and just move some files around and replace them. Or if it was permanent enough, have somebody sneak in with, like, different tapes or DVDs or whatever. The second one would be, like, you would need, like, a transmitter if you're doing over just like antennas and like bunny ears and stuff like that. You would need a broadcaster that's powerful enough to overpower the normal, like, or the regular, like, broadcast signal. Like, and if that second one's the case, like, how many resources does this cult have?
was about the TV airwaves. Maybe this Channel 10 hijack was the first hijacking, forcing this show in front of unwitting children, causing them to become terrified, so that the parents would send them to the KMW psychologists for treatment, or, as Terry put it, purification. And we get to read more about this hijacking thanks to one of the links that the parents dropped during the conversation. Or at least, that's what I thought we'd be able to do. In reality, it's not exactly legible. And just like the other corrupted pages we've come across, it is impossible to decode. The only readable thing are the ads on the side of the website for an uploading site, so I guess we might as well try that? I mean, let's not forget, all of this has been us trying to find the zip file containing the dev build of Elliot's adventure. So a website all about uploading files could be our ticket. So
God, you know, I completely forgot that's what so far this entire video has been about so far, just finding the dev build. I completely forgot that's what we were trying to do. So, I mean, okay, so we're about a third of the way through the video right now. So, I mean, either we're going to find it soon, or this is going to be broken down into a third video. I really wonder which one it's going to be.
So, by following the link and adding Giggleland _devbuild_9213.zip to the end of the URL, we are taken straight to the download page.
Okay, honestly, how did people figure out adding this particular version number? How did they figure that out?
Bingo! Finally, we get to talk about the thing that started this video. But do you want to guess what happened when I tried to download it? Yep, it's password protected. Again! You'd think, given how hard this was to find, they'd be kind enough to just give us the files. And people wonder why I have trust issues. Thankfully, this time, the uploader has given us a hint to the password's location. Location, numbers, comma, numbers. The only location thing we've seen so far was the Sarah's location text before the string of letters that Chap decoded.
Wait, is it literally what I said before about like trying to see like on the websites where these businesses are located and using that as like for GPS coordinates? Is that actually what's going to happen?
We know that each set of letters refers to all the websites we found, but for this, we need numbers rather than letters. So could it be that each website has a number that can be used for this password? At first, that feels like a wild goose chase, but look close enough and some of these numbers do start to appear, like the number 4 on this coffee bean on the cafe website, or error code.
Okay, geez, okay.
On CL domains. But then there are other websites like Retro Bite Hub and Gardening with Mary that I just can't figure out. And I wasn't the only one. The entire Discord was pretty much stumped by this. But with our powers combined, our big brains made a super brain. And slowly but surely, people began finding the numbers across these websites. And I gotta say, these solutions are strange. Some of them are things like how many times this cloud bobbed up and down until it stopped, the number of times the word tree is misspelt, and the color of the 404 error cloud in hex code. And this is where I've got to get real for a minute. Actually, you know what?
Okay. I mean, I think I can get what he's going to be talking about here before he even opens his mouth. And it's the fact that this ARG is nuts. And so far, it's starting to get to the point where it's not the fun kind of nuts. Like, I can understand, going to the websites and trying to find, hidden numbers. But you could have at least made where the numbers were consistent. Like that. Like, even just that short little list he listed. Again, like I said, like I would be too stupid to figure that out. How does a normal person think it's like, oh, it's like the number. Well, okay, thinking like having like the word tree misspelled a number of times, that could be, be pointed out as being weird. But the number of times a cloud floated up and down, and the hex code for the color of a specific 404. What?
Right, Giggleland. let's talk. What was the thought process here? I'm all for a hard and challenging puzzle. I've sung your praises in every video because of exactly that. But this was just straight up brutal. For a puzzle to feel satisfying, there has to be a rhyme or a reason to the solution. Maybe they're all background assets, or maybe it's all in hex code. But by mixing and matching like this with no sense of direction, it just invites that feeling of frustration and can lead people to brute forcing the solution because they don't see another way of doing it. So,
like, again, when I pointed out that, you know, to find the link for the dev build, you had to put like 9.3.1.2 version, you know, stuff like that. Like, how did they figure that out? That seems like just something you have to do by a brute forcing.
So, if you guys are watching, genuinely, I would love to understand the thought behind this puzzle. Was it simply a test for the community? Did we miss a clue? We theorists, we love to learn from these experiences so we can be better informed and equipped for our next ARG adventure. But anyway, we did find the code, so let's go back to PNG Tom to keep this ball rolling. Using the original letters as our order and plonking all of the new numbers into it, we get the password 758483,2827363. Now, finally, we can get our hands on the dev build. And there it is.
Something's gonna go wrong, isn't it? Something's gonna go wrong.
Sorry, I'm just really excited about this. Now we can get into this and find the answers we seek. When initially booting up this dev build, it looks exactly the same as the game we found before. But now we can activate the thing that the game cheat website mentioned, God mode, which creates new endings for us.
Okay, okay, so I was gonna say, like, oh, does God mode, like, affect it? No, okay, you can only use God mode in this.
To analyze. The first one happens when you're just bad at the game and fall into a pit. Elliot falls down and we see a younger looking Elliot in the dark all alone. An error appears on screen and after clicking OK, a bloody Elliot jumps at you. Well, this is more disturbing than before. Wonderful! And honestly, each ending is just going to follow in a similar tone. There's the flower ending where you gave a flower to the horse NPC. Normally this would lead you to encounter a child begging you to help them. But if you're in God mode, you do still meet the child, only now we see the child in the dark with a grinning Elliot behind her. She begins to cry and we hear slashes. The game then suddenly reboots and Elliot is standing there wearing the child's skin.
Okay, yeah, this is, yeah, whatever this game turns out to be, it's, okay, it's gonna be one of those darker ones, isn't it?
And then, if that wasn't enough, instead of the sign that takes you to the final stage, there's now a computer. Interacting with it triggers a cutscene where your perspective shifts to you looking at the computer monitor, switching tabs over to an episode of Elliot and Ella on YouTube. We've got a new episode to watch, friends. I wonder what high school drama awaits us in this episode. Elliot is struggling with dissecting a frog, so Ella decides that he should go and talk to Mr. T. Yep, that Mr. T. Mr. T suggests that Elliot should read this special book which will help him to be brave. Elliot opens it up and he is transported to a black room with a floating head.
Bravery can only be achieved by sacrificing your former self.
God, okay, that alone was creepy with poor little cat child in the middle of a dark void, and then giant CG face comes out of the shadows to start taunting them about sacrificing themselves. Okay.
And being born in you.
Just then, we see Elliot's past self, the same one that's in the pit ending of the game. Elliot must kill his past self. But when he hesitates, Ella pipes up.
Come on, Elliot! Don't you want to be brave?
Elliot is left with no choice. He walks up to his past self and kills them. Suddenly, we're back in the classroom and Elliot is now wearing the skin of his former self.
Aztec alert! Aztec alert! Okay. Yeah, so I was at the beginning of the video, and actually, what thumbnail of this video look like? Yeah, on the thumbnail too. I was wondering where they got that picture from, like, oh god, the fact that, oh god, yeah, they're going places with this one, and I don't,
Sorry, after the last episode I got one of those installed just in case. Not that I was gonna miss this, because it's not exactly discreet. All these endings and this new episode are tying back to what we said last time with Aztec rituals. We're seeing child sacrifices being brought to tears, something that Aztecs used to do.
And again, that 3D CG face is just... It's not actually, like, going back to it, it's not that badly animated. It's actually animated really nicely. It's just the juxtaposition of, like, 2D, like, cartoon cat and 3D human face. Like...
Aztecs used to do to make them effective sacrifices. Elliot is then wearing the skins of said sacrifices, including his past self, which reflects the rituals the Aztecs did to symbolize their renewal. And now we are meeting an actual deity. This floating head with the red and yellow markings on it looks exactly the same as how the god that requires the skins of human sacrifices is often depicted in Aztec descriptions and drawings. Xipe Totec. Boom, boom, and boom. I knew I was onto something with this Aztec stuff. And I knew that being an ancient history nerd in high school would absolutely pay off. Look at me now, Ma! But then there's the normal ending of the game. On God mode, rather than red text asking you, what did you do with the sorcerer? The text says, you are a god. And with the physical inclusion of the god Xipe Totec, it got me thinking. While yes, we're seeing Elliot literally kill his past self to become stronger, what if these sacrifices were a little more than that? What if it wasn't about sacrificing to a god, but becoming a god? Xipe Totec didn't just demand that people wear the skin of the sacrifices. The point was that Xipe Totec would then wear the skins himself. A god wearing human skin. Could it be that by sacrificing children who have been brought to tears and quote-unquote purified, then wearing their skin, Terry and the cult members believe they can become something pure and powerful themselves? Like, say, a god that also wears human skin. And this isn't even everything in the dev build, my friends. That's just the stuff God mode offers. In this dev build, you can also activate a move player function by inputting X and Y coordinates. Coordinates are usually just two numbers separated by a comma, which reminds me of the password the Discord community found to open up the dev build in the first place. The tip was Sarah's location, number, comma, number, after all. So let's try inputting those numbers into the move player mode. And we've black screened, which is not ideal. But if you're like me and you let your ADHD tech impatience get the better of you and you just spam the interact button, you get a new text box with a bit.ly link to Sarah's phone. And in it are all of the photos Sarah took of her mum's diary, like we talked about right at the start of Act 2. Yes, finally, we are going to get to see Debbie's involvement in the KMW, and hopefully it will show us if we were right about Terry's motives. The diary starts in December 1990. Debbie is 8 years old and has just moved to the commune with her uncle Terry. Seems innocent enough.
Oh, so her uncle Terry. Oh, so she's even... Oh, there's a family connection here. Maybe that's why they wanted her so badly. Oh.
That is until you turn the page. It's completely covered in the phrase, my name is Debbie. Why is she writing her name over and over again? Does she not know what her own name is? Wait a minute. Do you guys remember in the first ARG when we discovered that missing persons report about a child named Laura that had been abducted?
Oh, and they abducted her and tried to brainwash her into thinking her name was Debbie. Oh, God. God, just when I thought that these people couldn't get worse, I mean, they topped themselves. Oh, God, oh no.
We suspected that this was the doing of the KMW. I mean, all the signs were pointing to it. But Laura was abducted on November 23rd, 1990 at age 8. The same age as Debbie, and the week before, Debbie starts writing in her diary. Debbie is Laura. She was kidnapped by Uncle Terry and was forced to change her identity to Debbie. Like that, 7 years pass, and now Debbie is working on a new show, Elliot and Ella. She is the artist, and her best friend and love interest, Simon, is the writer. Debbie remarks about how Ella is basically just a representation of her, and how Elliot represents Simon. Everything we've seen Elliot do in the show, in the game, sacrificing kids, helping Terry, it was all done by Debbie's partner and Sarah's father, Simon. Now, he did give Debbie a warning to escape the commune, but I ask you, can we really trust him? It seems to me, at least right now, that he is in on it. But let's keep reading. Eventually, Debbie finishes all the drawings for the show, but during that time, she notices that kids in class are disappearing, falling ill, and never coming back. Terry simply says that they had to go home, but Debbie and I are not buying it.
Yeah, they were leaving, but they weren't going home. They weren't going home at all, those sickos.
These suspicions then grow when one night, Simon and Debbie hear screaming coming from the back of the barn. As they go to investigate, they find a trail of blood and Terry standing there covered in it. He tries to pass this off as killing animals for food, but Debbie doesn't feel right about it. The next day, Debbie and Simon get to watch the finished Elliot and Ella show that they've been working on, and what they see is nothing like they thought. What started off as cute turned dark and violent, the version of the show that we have been seeing. They also notice that Terry seems different. He's aggressive and keeps reassuring them that the show has to be like this because that's just what cartoons are like these days. What cartoons are you watching, Terry?
Yeah, so this was in 1997. God, what cartoon? Okay, so I would have been 2 years old, so I can't even think of like what cartoons were like. What cartoons were like in 1997? Because like thinking about it, okay, so we got Disney's Recess, Darla. I've never actually seen any of that. Spawn, Johnny Bravo, Franklin. Oh yeah, South Park, Gran. Yeah, I mean, like I have a hard time believing that like stuff like that would even, would be on the same level as, like, Spawn. I mean, maybe South Park, but that's not a show made for kids.
Lee, not helping. It's here that Simon and Debbie realize something is terribly wrong with this commune, but they also know that if they fight back, it won't end well. Simon decides that they should act like everything is fine up until they can come up with a plan of what to do, which might explain why he's been helping Terry with all these sacrifices. He's not evil, he's playing a part, putting up a false version of himself for others to see, almost like he's wearing the skin of a cult member, but underneath he's just a scared little boy. And as we jump ahead to 2006, we see exactly that. Simon has now become a programmer for the KMW website and is involved in making a video game, Elliot's Adventure. Simon is the one behind the messages we've been seeing. Heck, everything we've uncovered on the Giggleland website must have been Simon communicating to us. He gave us these files that we're now looking at from Sarah's phone. He has been the one reaching out to us.
Which I have to wonder, how did he get access to the phone? Has Sarah already been taken?
Entire time. Debbie isn't really happy about any of this. She has more or less isolated herself from the cult, but she's also pregnant with Sarah and her twin. What? We've never heard of a twin before.
What?
And in a later entry, we sadly find out why. During childbirth, the midwife says that the twins were tangled in the umbilical cord, and Terry chimes in to say only one could survive.
Terry said that. Oh God, why do I think that the surprise... okay. Yeah, okay. They have another... Okay.
Terry then goes a little off the rails, saying that the firstborn gave their life to save her sister, naming her the Miracle Baby. My guy, read the room. But this is also another reference to the Aztec culture that this cult is following. In Aztec culture, twins were seen as a reflection of the twin gods Quetzalcoatl and Xolotl. Quetzalcoatl was associated with light and prosperity, but Xolotl was associated with sickness and death. So to avoid bringing death and sickness to the mother and the rest of the community, the Aztec midwife would kill one of the twins at birth, leaving only the one they deemed to be the good twin. Terry believes that one of the children must be sacrificed, or else everything he has built will be destroyed.
God. Sounds like these, and I know I'm not, the biggest expert when it comes to, like, Aztec and, like, South American, pre-Columbian religions and stuff like that. But when I hear stuff like this, I know, colonialism did a lot of sick things. But it's times like these that I think, maybe there was some good in it after all, even just still like a thin silver lining.
Leaving this miracle child to help bring them into prosperity. That is why the KMW are so obsessed with Sarah and getting her back. Why they keep talking about her location. They need her. We could also take this a step further. Remember that message that said, "You are a god"? Well, maybe that's because in Terry's mind, Sarah isn't just a representation of the god Quetzalcoatl. She is that god. And where is Simon during all of this? Still programming away, becoming more and more obsessed. He says that he's just playing the part, wearing the skin of a cult member while being him underneath. But Debbie begins to wonder if it's actually the other way around. He's no longer the man she fell in love with. He's slowly becoming one of them without even realizing. Just like we see Elliot doing in the game, he is now capturing seeds, i.e. children, and sacrificing them for Terry. He is playing the part so well that he is now a cult member wearing the skin of Debbie's partner. Eventually, Debbie decides she's had enough. She packs her things and she leaves with Sarah. Interestingly, she leaves without reading Simon's note that he left for her in the game about leaving, so I guess things kind of worked out. Well, except for Simon. Do you remember the text we found in the normal ending of Elliot's adventure? What did you do with the sorcerer, Elliot? In our initial episode, we didn't really have an answer for who the sorcerer was. We were told that they were corrupting the seeds and that they needed to be defeated.
Oh, Debbie is the sorcerer. Debbie is the corrupting influence. Of course. Okay.
We never understood who it was or why it was. However, now thanks to everything we've learned here today, there's only one person it could be. Debbie. Debbie is acting against Terry at this point in the story. She doesn't want Sarah to be involved in any of it. Her anti-cult tendencies are the thing that need to be purified from the seeds. The children, just like Sarah. Debbie being the sorcerer also explains why we never encounter the sorcerer in the game, and yet it acts like we defeat her during the normal ending. Simon didn't actually harm Debbie. He didn't want to defeat her in battle. He wanted her to escape. So the ending skips the boss fight and says you won, because when she did run away, as far as anyone else knew, she had been killed or taken care of, just like he'd been asked to do. But Terry doesn't seem to be buying it. Terry is now asking Simon what he did with her because of that message he left in the game. Debbie may have acted on her own coincidentally, but from what Terry can see, Simon was the cause, and now Simon may not be safe. My first thought was that Simon was also going to be taken care of, but then I remembered that he was the one updating the website and sending us all of those hidden clues and messages. So that really only leaves us with two possibilities. One, Simon also managed to escape the commune and is now hacking the website remotely to help us reveal the truth about them, or, and sadly more likely, he is still part of the commune and is being forced to send out all of these messages. The reason is also that Terry can find Sarah again. Now, you might be thinking, sure, we know about all these websites, but Sarah has no idea about the Giggleland website, Elliot's adventure, or anything like that. If Terry has been getting Simon to reach out to Sarah, it's failed, right? Well, think about it.
I mean, she was curious. She's found out her mother was part of a cult, and all it takes is a little seed for it to start growing. She becomes curious and starts looking up other things as well. I mean, at this point, that might, if I remember correctly, like, that might be the reason what happens in the game. She finds enough information, goes to Giggleland, and then has to try to escape from, the cult that evidently built it.
Though Sarah hasn't mentioned finding the website or any of its mysteries, through us solving all of the puzzles, we found Sarah, her Tumblr, her phone, her location. And each time she mentioned snooping on her mother, us being the lore hunters we are, we pushed Sarah to keep going, to keep looking into her past. We are the ones pushing her closer to the world that she and Debbie left behind. Her curiosity is slowly leading her into the arms of the KMW, exactly where Terry wants her, and it's all because of us. These messages on the website and the game were supposed to be a warning to protect Sarah, but our hubris and desire for lore has only put her in more danger. Unlike we predicted in our first theory, it's not her father that would lure her to Giggleland in the main game, it's going to have been us. We led her right into the cult's hands for whatever godly sacrifices they have planned. I just hope that in the end, when we do get our hands on the real game, we'll have the skills needed to undo our mistake and save her. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching. World premiere.
Oh, God. Again, this is one of those things, like, they are doing... they have done so much work to set this up. I really hope that when the game actually does come out, they actually stick the landing. Because even just, like the quality of the stuff we're seeing there, like, you know, the mini games, and, you know, the animated cartoons, especially the one with the CG face. Like, there's quality, there's good quality put into these. I just really hope that at the end of this, the actual game, when it does come out, is actually good enough. But yeah, that's definitely going to be it for now. So yeah, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.